river we are on, it's called the Blue River, but I've never seen it. And it starts at the highway. It leads out to the sea, the Gulf of Paria, straight in front of us west, and it's about 5 miles long. In here the water is brackish, so we get the salt water coming up from the sea and the fresh water from the rice fields. So in this part of the swamp, heading back up where it's a bit more fresh, we get the caimans living. Fishes like tilapia, small catfish, snook, and the white fish, the one skipper, the one we just saw. So lower down, as the water gets a little bit more salty and deeper, we get some of the bigger fishes living, like grouper, snapper, tarpon, and mullets. So this swamp, it's quite big. It starts all the way in Port of Spain, and it ends more central, Waterloo Temple in the sea. It's about 40 square miles. The trees in here, they are mainly mangrove, and we get 3 different species. The first one is the one over the river. This is the red mangrove or the rhizophora. These are the dark green and the rounded leaves with all these roots coming down. Prop roots or stilt roots are called. This one survives the best in salt water, so as we go in, we would get mainly the red surviving. The second species, the one just coming over the boat here. This one is the white mangrove or Ligencalaria. They have white spots on the bark, smaller and lighter green rounded leaves with roots sticking up. So all these spiky stuff at the bottom's edge, those are roots for the tree, and they're called new metaphor or breathing roots. And the last species is the one just inside that has fallen over here. This one is the black mangrove or the Avicennia. These have a thin and pointed leaf as compared to the others. They have a dark and scaly bark, and they have roots sticking up like the white pneumatophore roots. And these pneumatophore roots is an adaptation to the salt water. So they would filter the water for the plant, and whatever salt passes through these roots and goes up to the tree would get pressed down through the leaves. So in a really dry week, we would actually see the salt on the leaves. So we get the red, the white, and the black. Any questions so far? But as I was saying earlier on, in here we get snakes living. They're called cooked street boas. Locally we call it cascabel. They get up to about 7 feet long. And if we're lucky, we might see one, maybe 2 as we go in. We also get a small mammal called a silky anteater. It's about this big, brown in color. They're nocturnal and they feed on termites. So as we go in, we're gonna see these black nests on the trees. They're just termite nests, but the anteaters are very difficult to see because they move every day. They're not territorial. If I do see one, I'll be sure to stop and point him out. So does everyone see these small crabs that are crawling up and down the trees? So we call them tree climbing crabs. And the correct name for them is Aratasonii. But that's a bit hard to remember. So we stick to tree climbing crabs. So these crabs live on the trees and they would feed on the leaves and algae that grow on the roots. On a high tide, this is the main diet for the scarlet ibis. And it's one of the crustaceans that's responsible for the ibis's bright red color because they contain a lot of carotene in them. So I don't know if you noticed, but clothes is a bit red to the end. That's a sign of the carotene in them. And they don't get much bigger. Some people refer to them as mangrove boas. And they feed on small birds, eggs, sometimes rats and bats. So when they feed, depends on the size of their meal. they can sleep on the same spot for about 4 days, sometimes up to a week, and then they move again. And this is about the biggest they get. This is about the adult size. Yeah, they are the snowy egrets. With them, we're going to get lizard herons, striped herons, and then to the outside, we're going to have the scarlet ibis, with a few of the bigger white ones, the great egrets. And these birds just spend the time playing all over the swamp all along. When they have full moon time like this, they come back here to roost for the night. With the entire swamp, there are about 5 areas like this one. But we just go to one, the best one, the easiest one possible. And right now it's the best time to come see these ibis because they nest from April to September. If you come during that time, we don't see them roosting here. The majority of them we see would be in flight, going over to the nesting colony. And that's an area where no one is allowed to go to. Long ago, these birds were legally hunted for flesh and they used to use their feathers to carnival costumes. But when we gained independence back in 1962, they were declared as our national bird and there was a total ban on hunting. So now the population, the only thing that really distinct them is illegal fishing. People don't know well not to go close to the birds and they would try to set their lines near to them.
Also, there are no fishing inside.
No, they aren't allowed to fish, but people do take a chance illegally and fish.
And how often do they have patrols?
I haven't seen patrols in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. But before that, they used to have it every day. But then they move around the guys.
And what counts as a disturbance?
What counts? Fishing boats. If a helicopter passes over, they would get disturbed. A plane is no problem. Yeah. I think it's the different sound.
Yeah.
Maybe boats drive by too fast, they will get disturbed. Hunting.